Okay, today we are going to learn to add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators. Okay, there are certain steps that we need to follow in order to make this process easier. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, step one, is we are going to find the least common denominator. After we find the least common denominator, we are going to make equivalent fractions. Once we have our equivalent fractions, then we are going to either add or subtract. And then when we have finished that step, our last step is to simplify. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So let's start with 3/4 plus, let's do 5/6. First thing we're going to do is find the least common denominator. So these are our denominators. We're going to list those down here. And we start with 6. Is 6 a multiple of 4? No, it is not. So we're going to list the next multiple of 6, which is 12. Is 12 a multiple of 4? The answer is yes. So this is our least common multiple. So we have done step 1 now. We're going to do step 2, make equivalent fractions. I like to list my fractions vertically like this. Put my plus sign in front there. Set them up for equivalent fractions. And 12 is our least common denominator, so we put that in the denominator position. And then I ask myself, 4 times what equals 12? That's 3. And I need to put a 3 here because remember this fraction right here has to equal 1, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. And it has to equal 1 so that we're not changing the value. That's what makes the fractions equivalent. And then we take 3 times 3, and that is 9. Down here, 6 times what equals 12, and that's 2. And again, we put the 2 up here, and 5 times 2 is 10. So now we have done step 2. We made equivalent fractions. Now we can add or subtract, and in this case, we are adding. So we've got 9/12 plus 10/12, and that equals 19/12. And we are now going to do step 4, which is to simplify. Since 19 is a prime number, that would just go on top, and 12 would be 2 times 2 times 3. I obviously cannot cross anything off. So 19/12 is in its simplest form, but it is an improper fraction because 19 is greater than the 12. So we're going to take and divide 19 by 12. 12 goes into 19 one time, and subtract that, and there's 7 left over. And we're still dividing by 12, so our 12 goes right here. Remember, this means divide. And so the answer to 3/4 plus 5/6 is 1 7/12. And that is how you add or subtract fractions. Adding, we just added it, but subtracting would be the same way. You would just subtract instead of add.